Putin is bottoming out after losing streak in Ukraine, and the pressure on the Russian people and military is mounting. After Putin's remarks, Russians took to the streets to protest and riot. Eventually, there was a big uprising in the Kremlin, and lucky Russians got the chance to get out. With tickets sold out and crowded trains crammed with flights, Russians followed in the footsteps of the revolution. The flames of revolution spread. Now let's dive into the details of Putin's reserve mobilization. Chaos in Russia, with all major developments in Russian leadership criticized by the public and politicians. The country has made progress on the escalation. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced the partial deployment in Russia in a televised address. On Wednesday, September 21st, the Russian leader's decision shook the agenda. Sustainably prevent further losses in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Russian leader Vladimir Putin stressed that the drills must be announced to make significant progress in Ukraine. Russian leaders also announced that more than 300,000 citizens will be recruited in the country to compensate for the loss of some 60,000 Russian soldiers on the Ukrainian front. This decision opened a path to justice and began to greatly anger the Russians. The first reaction to Putin's decision to announce the move came from critics in the Kremlin. Russian leader Vladimir Putin has described the war between Ukraine and Russia as an active army that is essentially Putin was against world war until 2 months ago, and wanted to be watched by it. Russian media are now announcing a nationwide campaign to anger the Kremlin. After many Russians announced their decision to move, critics and opponents of the Russian parliament became very nervous. Citizens are even leaving Russia starting today, while the war between Ukraine and Russia is going on, dragging the Russians into a dark political and military age. The Russian economy is also growing. Inflation has reached serious levels due to the war in Russia, and people continued to oppose Putin during the uprising. Things are chaotic, with thousands of anti-Russian citizens suffering from diminished socio-economic opportunities. Putin's decision to announce the capital increase drew close scrutiny from more than 300,000 Russian male citizens. Many Russians who don't want to fight in Ukraine are looking for a way out. Needing a visa, they quickly ran out of tickets and fled to Turkey first. Aviasales team announces that the world-famous airline's direct flights from Moscow to Istanbul are sold out. Another stop for Russian citizens who want to get out of mobilization mode.